Alright, as we hop into game here, just through this first load screen, guys, I do want you to notice that there's more than just one logo here on the screen. What's that? Oh my god, that's the Base Trade logo. We all have seen this before, but what's this one? Oh my god! Oh, that's right, it's the channel sponsor we recently picked up, Chairs for Gaming. Pretty cool stuff. They're helping out with the next couple months of StarCraft 2 events and such. We're going to be throwing a big show match in their honor as well, but of course must bring attention and thanks to them before we get going here. But this is a best of 5, so let's go ahead and actually open that up and change that there between these two players. $100 on the line, 75 for first, 25 for second. No big deal. No, but you know, spawning in the top right corner of the map, he chooses random, and he got the purple Terran. It's Balloon.
In the upper left, as the red Zerg, it is Acer's Bly.
Okay, so it's worth noting, guys, before we hop into too much of this, Balloon's best races are Protoss, Zerg, then Terran. Now, it's safe to say that even though he might classify his Terran as his worst, it's not that bad. For Bly, this is a weird series for him. I actually talked to him specifically about this because I wanted to make sure he knew the opponent he was playing, right? Like, you know he's random, I basically said to him. And he said, yeah, with a sad face. Because he said he's got a lot of openings, and we've seen Bly tons of times in the past. Bly, by the way, has actually won more BaseTradeTV related events than anyone else. I just want to throw that out there. Show matches, not go for StarCrafts, the odd events we've thrown here and there. But, yeah, he basically said he's got a lot of openings that work well versus 1 or 2 races, but it's really hard to justify using those when you don't know what Balloon spawns is. Like, you don't want to go for a strategy that completely screws you versus Terran, but is okay versus either Zerg or Protoss. You can't play against a random player in that fashion.
Yeah. And unfortunately, you can't take, you want to play the safest possible, which usually includes the 15 pool, which is something you can actually not have to do versus a Terran. It looks like Bly is just going to, take a guess, go for the 15 hatch anyways, and leave the pool for later. Now, this could be a problem if there was, for instance, a proxy Rax Reaper. But since it's not, it's going to be a regular timed Reaper. There shouldn't really be that much of a problem.
You know, it's actually kind of funny. Balloon is pretty notorious for, I'd say, more all-in builds than he is cheese builds. So, like, I wouldn't exactly expect to see him go for an 11-11 blindly or an 8 Reaper or anything like that, but I would expect him to do sort of the 2 base Terran strategies more than, say, your standard 5 base macro battlecruiser mech composition.
Yeah. But then I keep forgetting that he's random, so it's not just the Rax, the Reaper. It would be like, Bly just took a chance on Balloon not going for a 6 pool, or Balloon not going for a cannon rush. I mean, that's kind of a big risk, something you usually don't do. But we have a fake right here.
Oh, I kind of wish this was up on the high ground, honestly, to give the Reapers that extra vision. Plus, you could hide on that little ledge of a cliff. But you're right, this might force an overreaction out of Bly. With the first Reaper coming across, though, it's not the same as a Marine. A Reaper has got decent DPS, but a Marine's always going to be better for something static. So even if you put a Reaper in this bunker, it's not exactly going to tear down this hatchery. But what it will do is provide him a safe place to heal, so, should the pressure get too hot, so to speak.
These type of bunkers are usually these type of bunkers are usually something that's the Terran player says, well, if it gets up, then that's awesome. The Zerg player says he's not really going to dedicate it to it, and usually they don't finish. So the fact that it did finish is honestly a unfortunate problem for Bly. He just it's a whole not taking it seriously because you think they're just gonna cancel it anyways, but then it becomes a snowball problem.
Actually, the Reaper coming across the map with this third one on the way is going to be a bit interesting, because we've seen the power of 3 Reapers without any sort of protection like this bunker. Normally forced to micro like crazy and kite around the map, but he's just going to go and salvage this. So he'll still have 3 Reapers to play with, but the thing is, Bly hasn't underreacted. You take a player like Tefl, for example. He's someone who's notorious for not making lings early on. Regardless of whether it's Terran or not, though, Bly is one of the players who's better known for his sort of aggressive stance in StarCraft 2 with the Zerg. So, he's the guy you would expect to have these lings out. And I don't think Balloon necessarily did his homework prior to the show match.
Yeah, important thing right now is that Bly's speed is going to finish a good 15 seconds faster than you would normally say, okay, definitely time to pull back right now with the lings. Luckily for Balloon, he, with that amount of lings, you're always going to be cautious in the first place because that's enough to counterattack and do something kind of big even if they're kind of slow. So he just pulls back immediately, doesn't take the chance, and will be able to... he's not going to be able to save this command center, unfortunately, from...
Yeah, he did have to cancel. That would have been nice if that had been the orbital first, but with the wall off the top of the ramp, he should be okay.
Yeah, if all the Reapers die, Just imagine if all the Reapers die. There's actually nothing to protect the supply depots. And as silly as it might sound, that could have been just enough time to wait for the Hellions. I mean, granted he didn't repair, but the Lings actually do a lot of damage to that wall. Oh, and Bly's going to be going for a fairly fast lair.
So I just came up with an awesome idea for a drinking game I put in chat. Since it's late night, you guys want to enjoy it? Here's my idea. You guys can add on to this if you want. Every time Zombie Grub says unfortunately, or every time I say like or literally, and anytime your favorite player loses a match, take a drink.
Oh my god.
I think it's going to be pretty fun. We'll have some wasted kids at the end of the night, that's for sure.
Seriously.
But Bly's taking all the gases. He's on his way to lair, and quite frankly, he's one of the few that would be the ones to execute 2-base mutas. I don't know if that's necessarily what he's going to do here, but he still doesn't have a Roach Warren or Evolution Chamber, so it's kind of the only thing that seems like it would make sense to me.
Yeah. This is going to be a really good build. If they're going for a Banshee or... I mean, even a Viking delay stim a little bit, or could delay stim, then you actually hit when they don't have a lot of Marines. And sometimes if they don't scout either, you hit before they have any missile turrets, which, you know, you can get something going there, a lot of SCV kill or something. Luckily for Balloon, he just went for the one Viking. Oh, he actually did go for the cloak. Wait, did he cancel stim? There was definitely stim on that production tab. He just switched over Starport.
Ooh.
Am I wrong?
No, I think I saw Sim too, but regardless of the fact he's not going for it now, what we do see is an armory on the way. So one of the nice boons of what he's got here is a very dangerous ground force. The problem is for Bly, like if you can hold out long enough, he'll have those mutas to shut this down. But there's going to be Hellbats and Reapers aplenty outside of his front door in a moment. This third base absolutely needs to be canceled. No chance to hold this. No
way he's holding this. Unfortunately, it was not canceled. Crap, now I'm gonna be so aware of people getting totally wasted. Okay,
Right?
God, okay. But, yeah, this is a big problem.
Oh, wow. Is he gonna actually break this fly depot? Blue does not have enough repairing this. I mean, there's Hellions here, granted, but 2 Hellions won't stop this many Lings. More SCVs are being pulled, but will it be too late? It is. The depot goes down. The armory. Whoa, wait, that was an armory? I assumed that was a bunker this entire time. What?
Yeah, so, oh, and he actually got into the main of Bly while that was all going on.
Oof.
So he sees everything. This is really important, guys, because he was doing something that did not have a lot of Marines, and of course, at the engineering bay. So now actually he's going to have at least a few missile turrets.
I think the problem is, though, Balloon did sacrifice a lot. He didn't actually get that many worker kills, though, when you consider all things.
15 on 2 base. He's down to 27 drones.
Right, but that's 6 Hellions and 3 Reapers. That's not like 4 Hellions diving in naked or like 2 Reapers or anything like that. That's a big cost out of Balloon. I mean, I think it's worth a while. I'm just saying that was really expensive.
Yeah, I think it was even better because Balloon is not going for bio, he is going for mech. So those Hellions that give you map control that you're supposed to have lost and doing something like that, he still has more. And of course with meters on the way, you don't really have map control anymore, so kind of doesn't matter, but...
Well, there's one Thor coming out, and as we've seen in the past, one Thor does not really fare too well, but more uncommon than what we do normally see is 3 Vikings. Will actually fare pretty decently with turret coverage, as long as he fights within the missile turrets. There are 2 up here to the north, and Bly giving chase into them. Actually doesn't lose that mute. Oh my god, really? How much health does that thing have? 10.
It's so close to dying if it's the other missile turret.
But there we go, Thor pops, and this is going to be a little bit scary for Bly, because let's not forget, guys, maneuvering on this map is not so easy. You've got these sort of closed air blockers. It is merry-go-round after all, but still finds a way to get out of the natural, goes towards the main. This is what I'm talking about. You can't fly northwards, man.
It would have been a cool idea if Balloon did not cover his engineering bay. He kills that engineering bay, and he's waiting on Thor's as his mobile coverage. That wouldn't really work out. Going for the gas geyser is a good idea versus mech. I mean, it's kind of a good idea versus bio as well, but mech definitely hits.
Yeah, mech requires gas a little bit more. It's so important, but oh my god, another Hellion run by over here. These aren't going to do a lot, but they can transform, which is something we're not used to seeing, and Hellbats can tear down buildings pretty darn quick. Yep.
Yeah. That's going to go down actually fast, and of course they tank a lot more from the mutas as well.
Wait, when did these Hellbats take damage from? They're all missing like 10 HP.
They might have been the ones that were defending against that Ling attack, that's why they have so little take. Okay, those 4 Hellbats, I mean, those are Hellions. I think maybe it's 1/4 damage. Now it's half damage. It's pretty good.
I like this this suggestion coming from Chad. Another addition to the drinking game. Anytime I make an awkward / really bad joke. Oh boy, kids are getting wasted tonight. It's a weekday too. Oh my gosh.
Oh no, stop drinking.
Alright, well, Bly's actually getting some pretty good work with the Mutalisk. Granted, it's such a low count, though, that you normally think, like, okay, what's the point of this? But Bly's one of those players who's very talented at maneuvering around, as we've seen so far. Problem is, though, for Balloon going mech, and I just want to speak this very strongly, very importantly, we saw Balloon go mech in the Acer Team Story Cup. And the thing is, he gets this, like, really strong early game, and I feel like he doesn't know how to finish. Like, he takes really awkward engagements. He wasn't able to correctly respond to some of the responses. I can't remember the name of the player he was playing against at the time, but, I want to say Mini Razor, was it? Regardless of who it was, the point is Balloon had a really strong mech game that I wouldn't say by any stretch of the imagination he necessarily threw, but he did kind of bleed out through really awkward engagements. And Bly's a player who has grown up in Europe playing against Goody for his life in StarCraft 2. He knows how to deal with mech.
That's true. Of course, Balloon doesn't play the same style as Goody. I mean, I would say that most Europeans, it's kind of a stigma, I guess, but it's more defensive. We're known for being turtley. I mean, you always see the Stormhost games, you always see the long mech games somehow on European, stuff like that. Balloon still does the Korean version where he's a little more aggressive, always pushing out at the 150, doesn't wait till Ravens. So it is a little different. Yeah, more Thor heavy as well.
I think that's pretty much the big difference too, because I mean you're gonna see him incorporate tanks eventually, but if you go heavier on the Thors, they're so expensive. Like, what is it? Is it 300, 200? I can't remember the cost off the top of my head.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, they're not expensive. They're not cheap units, rather. One thing we'll note too is we don't have a lot of upgrades coming out for Balloon as far as armor goes. Like, the weapon upgrades are fantastic and that's great, but the armor upgrades become critical later on when you start worrying about things like the air switches, but Ling reinforcements. I mean, Thors are fantastic, but they're not gonna hold up if there's no Hellbats to guard them against even naked Lings.
Okay, so we do have Balloon pushing out again around the 150 mark.
Yep,
he knows that there's not a lot of mutas. I mean, the chances of Bly holding down like 20 mutas in his base, not really something that happens.
That's actually kind of important. If you got both those Banshees, that would take a lot of power away from this push. Hydras and Roaches are what he made behind this, and this is a good composition to crush what he currently has. There's not a lot of tanks. Oh my god, he gets on top of this, and Balloon is just going to get demolished.
The Thor attack is decent. As you can see, it's trading okay. You know, not as well as maybe like a pure tank army, but still all right. And usually I think...
But it's the Hydras coming out in a second that's really going to just shut this down outright.
Yeah, it's the fact that there's, 20 Roaches and 20 Hydralisks on the way. And these, I don't know if these SCVs...
They came to repair, but they're just repairing each other instead of the Hellbats, instead of the Vikings.
Yeah,
no kid.
No. Alright, so this counterattack by Bly is going to be really strong. He's starting to make a lot more tanks, but is it too late? I don't know. I mean, it's okay, with just Hydras you can't push forward, especially when I don't even think they have any upgrades. They have no upgrades. They have the 1-1, but no speed, no range.
The big thing there, too, that Balloon saw, Viper is being revealed. He just lost all of his Vikings, and he's going to have no way to zone these out. I don't think Blinding Clouds are going to be that big of a deal, but I think Bly, if he does this correctly with Abducts, can pick off every siege tank before he's even forced to engage. Because where's the anti-air but a couple Thors?
That's a good point. Now with that attack, that might have seemed like a really odd attack. I mean, usually, yes, you go at 150, but of course you should scout ahead and make sure that's still a good idea. What we've been seeing a lot in like Korean Terrans and why they push out is that they're usually facing Swarm Hosts, and that timing like hits when Swarm Hosts are kind of low, so the Thor damage is still okay. I don't think Balloon recognized that Bly was going for Roach Hydra. He saw the Roach Warren, but sometimes you just get that because, why not? Maybe it'll be in an emergency, and you can still power through it.
Well, I think you're also forgetting that it's merry-go-round. I mean, we're seeing Roach Hydra come out of everybody on this map versus Terran, regardless of, like, I mean, it's just...
That's true.
I like the creep straight out of Bly, too. This is something I was a little bit worried early on when he started facing against those Hellions that dive through, when he was just kind of being pressured back a little bit, when he was on the lower worker count. He didn't have a lot of creep spread. Now it's kind of getting to that point where Balloon has to actually be conscious of starting to clean it up.
Now, Merry-Go-Round is still a good map for mech. Specifically, it's a good map for tanks, I should say. Because of these ledges and in certain positions, you can get really good advantages. I think the best one is like if Balloon was in the bottom and Bly was with the top right, you can get that nice siege up on their 4th. You can still get it here. You control the Zelnaga and you get that 4th that Bly took should you have the opportunity to reach across the halfway point in the map. But Bly's looking to put on a lot of pressure.
Yeah, coming in front with Roaches is a little bit worrisome because you don't know quite how many tanks are there, but these turrets are acting great to zone at the Vipers. Only one Blinding Cloud goes off for now, but there's really not a lot of tanks is the problem here. And a couple of Ducks even grab the Thors back into Balloon, or from Balloon, so, I mean, this is just looking really bad. He just doesn't have an army count right now.
Yeah, no. Could have potentially tried to snipe that Overseer at the last second, just try and cloak those Banshees. That would have added a lot of damage, but doesn't quite get to do it. With the reinforcement line from Balloon, he's going to be able to hold on, but no third. Yeah, it's...
The problem for Balloon, I would say, is he opened aggressive, but has now been forced to play defensive. If he had opened defensive and started turtling up to that sort of max count, more the way we've seen players like Goody play it out, he'd be in a much better position to secure this third. But he's only just now getting siege tanks, he's only just now adding in the Banshees and such, and this has been really crippling him against a player who's already pretty much sailing to max here with Hydralisks.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that push out was just something that if he had really scouted ahead, he should not have done. I don't know if he wouldn't have done it still, but should not have done, I guess. And then he'd be able to, of course, defend a lot better and be able to spread out a lot more because he just had a lot more, of course. But the thing about mech is that, I mean, remember the last time we casted Balloon versus whoever Zerg it was and he went mech, is that even though he, like, just seemed to be dying very slowly, he kept on holding on. And that's what's good about mech is that maybe your third is forced to relocate, maybe your fourth is really late. But as long as you're, you know, still taking okay trades a little bit, your bank count still goes up.
You know, it's kind of interesting. We do see the Ultras Cavern on the way, so perhaps that's going to be the next path of tech, but... I mean, as weird as it is considered, if you just wipe out a couple of Thors with a heavy tank investment in Banshees, a Mutalisk swap could actually pretty much demolish Balloon, I feel.
Yeah, but this might be enough anyways. Balloon's entire army was not over here. This isn't a really
tanks, good... But they're nowhere near the fight.
Yeah, there's not really... I mean, both third bases, KGG, both third bases are kind of far away. It's not the easiest one to take, but just too spread out.
Yeah. Well, first game going to go to Bly in this best of 5, so we got a couple more games to come, of course.